And welcome to Overtime, brought to you by KingsCast at www.kingscast.net. I'm Keith Korneluk.
And I'm Chris Kalazewski.
That's right, Kings fans. You came here for serious journalistic content. We gonna give it to you. Talking Los Angeles Kings back in KingsCast studios.
That's right, Keith. It's good to be back in the studios here. Not really great being a Kings fan right now.
Sucks.
But we are back here with our 200th video. 200, Keith. Who ever thought that was possible? I know Gan Matsuda didn't.
Certainly not most of the people that hate the show. But there we are once again, here to talk a little bit about Kings hockey, Ducks, BJs, Preds. We talking about all of it. It's episode 179, video 200. Let's get it started.
All right, Keith. So, it's been kind of a rough year for the Kings so far, to say the least. And so the Kings hit the road on yet another test so far to see, how they would come together. I think a lot of us thought, they hit the road. This is what they need. They played so well on the road in the playoffs.
Stayed in a hotel.
A time to bond, kind of regroup and say, hey, the Stanley Cup is over. We won it. It's time to move on and try to repeat. But it's been a struggle so far. I think we talked with this Ducks game. I mean, it was a shootout, but it was a straight up ass kicking, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the final score being 7-4 in favor of the Anaheim Ducks, who are kind of kicking ass so far this season, which, God, nobody ever predicted that. But it was a really bad game. And, so far I think we were satisfied with Muzzin and Juricki. This is the game where it sort of all fell apart, and you're really missing Matt Green and, Willie Mitchell. The Kings were able to put a few goals on the board, but, never led during the game. Were generally outplayed by the Ducks. Quite frankly, it felt like an ECHL kind of game out there. Still haven't figured a way to bring it together. And, you can't fault the Stanley Cup hangover, but, I mean, they're just not playing like a very good team at this point.
No, they certainly don't look like that Kings team that plowed through the playoffs, going 16-4. So, yeah, it's always disappointing losing that Ducks game, but you move on and you play a team like Columbus. And this is the game, which I hate to say it so early in the season, but it was an absolute must-win. It was an absolute must-win. They were sitting 14th in the conference. They had 2 wins. They're one of the worst teams in the league, points-wise. And
so are the Kings, though.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the Kings, is that you come into that game, and it is an absolute must-win. And of course, Kings, give up that first goal, which I don't know what the stat is this year, but I feel like they're giving up the first goal pretty much every game.
I can't think of maybe more than one game where we had the first goal, so that's certainly been disappointing. But definitely battled back, and again, it's the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, this isn't like a playoff test or anything like that. Like you said, we do have to win. We did 4-2. Drew Doughty and Jack Johnson leading ice times for both teams there. But it was just one of those games where you had to win. There's not much more to say about it. Scuderi got hit by Dubinsky. Got fined $10,000, whatever. On to the Nashville Predators tonight. And, you talk about the last game, Chris, where, we thought we should have won. We lost in a shootout. And, we're looking for redemption. They're on the road. They're staying in the hotel. They're going to eat steak dinners and things like that. And, I was excited for the Kings to actually show up. The only problem is they didn't.
They really didn't. I mean, this offensive struggles that they're experiencing again, it's really concerning. I mean, it's like we have so many players that have this potential to be offensive just gangbusters, and it's just not happening, whether it's on the power play, although it's been decent in the last 4 games. You hit Nashville tonight, and they just really never looked like they had much of a chance. And, Keith, that's just like we were talking about tonight before. It's just like, what is wrong with the team? It's hard to tell. I mean, I don't think it's coaching. Is it the Stanley Cup hangover? Obviously, they've had some injuries, but why can't they score?
Well, Andrei Kopitar has, had some good games and, had some, tonight he was, terrible in the 3-0 loss to Nashville. I mean, what the hell was that? But yeah, everybody's really struggling. I thought Dustin Brown started to, get back to his usual Dustin Brownie kind of self. And, everybody tonight just looked terrible. Jonathan Quick looking mortal. However, that said, if it wasn't for Jonathan Quick, it would have been a 6-0 loss, to the Nashville Predators. But it is hard to pinpoint. Last year, if we had gotten our power play going, I don't think it would have been as much of a struggle to get into the playoffs as it was. This year, I mean, the power play kind of, for the most part, with the exception of a couple of games, sucks. Mike Richards has pretty much sucked for a little bit. Andrei Kopitar now sucks. I mean, so many people on this team, so many different facets suck. Drew Doughty, no goals. Mind you, he's playing in key defensive scenarios and getting, almost 30 minutes a game. But, I mean, God, Chris, other than Slava Voinov and Jeff Carter with a couple of decent games, they suck.
Yeah, Richards, of course, finally getting a goal in that Columbus game, which I expected him to sort of get on a streak because he's sort of a
Gordie
streaky
Howe hat trick as well.
He did have that. But the bottom line is that the Kings have 8 points. The Kings have 8 points. They are 3-4-2. They're not looking like the Stanley Cup team, and it's a confidence thing at this point. It's a mental game because they aren't able to get together, really, regardless of the opponent. So it's just like a little concern because the next game will be Game 12, which sadly will be the quarter season point already, which is concerning. You can't really mess around or wait a month to gel anymore. It's like they got to start stockpiling some points because we talked about the Ducks earlier. They're winning. Sharks are playing really well, even within our own division. Not even to mention the Chicagos and Vancouvers who are winning and playing pretty well. It's concerning.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and my concern is that the Kings are, digging themselves into a hole, which they've done, quite a few seasons before. My concern is just with such a short season is that they've dug themselves too deep of a hole that they can't get out of it. Obviously, that's not the case right now. We're not saying that the Kings aren't going to make the playoffs, but at some point, something has got to gel. You know what I mean? Jonathan Quick looks like, again, is going to have to stand on his head to get this team any wins, but something is definitely going to happen. And take a look at, Dustin Penner on the bench again. You know what I mean? You kind of need his size in the lineup, but if the guy is not conditioned well enough, there you go. Simon Gagne kind of looking like the aging veteran. Yeah, old that he is. Sorry, SimonGagne.com. But it's really frustrating. And if you even look, we don't even have a first-round pick. So if we don't make the playoffs, we can't even look forward to getting the first overall pick because Columbus has it. We were talking about this earlier. Say we go into seller mode. Who are we going to sell? Dustin Penner for future considerations and Gagne for a fourth? I mean, we have to make the playoffs.
Right.
If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Daryl Sutter. But God damn it, Chris, I'm frustrated.
Yeah, it's pretty crappy. So hoping the Kings turn this around at some point because I feel like we're running out of time here.
All right, Kings fans, it's back. The segment you've all been waiting for. People are saying, when are we going to get another See Ya? It's going to be tonight. As you know, Kevin Westgarth traded quite some time ago, and we're just kind of lazy and didn't want to address it. Tonight, we're going to address it in another steaming episode of See Ya.
Kevin Westgarth, you're a smart guy. You went to Princeton. You helped negotiate the CBA, yet you couldn't negotiate yourself into the ice. So I'm sorry, but see ya!
Ah, Westy. I remember that one preseason game where you broke David Kochi's face in a fight. Then you got traded. Unfortunately, you didn't break any hearts except for that one kid in our section who actually owns a Westgarth jersey. Tear. See ya!
Kev Dog, you had 1 goal in 3 seasons. Rytis Ivanons had 12 goals in 4 seasons. 11 less than Ivanons. Seriously? Come on. See ya!
Kevy, fun fact about North Carolina. It is illegal to sing out of tune. Fun fact about Los Angeles. It's illegal to be a terrible hockey player. So to my friends from yours in the hood, we gots to say, see ya!
All right, Kings fans, so like we said, it is our 200th video. Pretty happy that happened, very surprised as well. So we're going to give you our top 10 takeaways from the first 200 videos of KingsCast.
Number 10. When Dennis Bernstein is on the show, it's a guaranteed hit.
Number 9. Much like the Kings, we're much better at night.
Number 8. If you ever need a time-lapse of Wilshire Boulevard and you're in LA, hit us up.
Number 7. We're huge in Finland and Thailand.
Number 6. Rytis Ivanons, Scott Parse, and Alexander Ovechkin hate us.
Number 5. Naming shows unclutch and offense is worthless.
Number 4. The Los Angeles Kings cautiously and selectively sort of support us.
Number 3. People tend to dislike our shows are irrelevant, too long, and not funny.
Number 2. I guess that practice coverage we promised in episode 1 ain't gonna happen.
And the number 1 takeaway from 200 videos of KingsCast is damn, we drink a lot.
All right, Kings fans, we did want to mention, I don't know if we did in a previous show because, but Andrei Loktoinov a little while ago was announced that he had asked for a trade for the Los Angeles Kings, and sure enough, the other day he received it to the New Jersey Devils, our Stanley Cup foes, for a 5th-round pick. Now, Chris, I'm sure you remember Loktoinov was drafted in the 5th round. Los Angeles Kings have kind of nurtured him and developed him, and he was traded.
I have a hard time believing that after, 5 years that he wasn't worth more than a 5th rounder. Obviously, leverage is taken away when a player demands a trade, and he's not the most developed player in the world, but come on, at least a third, right?
Well, I don't know. I don't think
Fourth?
that Jay Feaster was like, you know what, Lombardi, I'm going to give you a first. He's like, no. I'm going to take that fifth from New Jersey. I mean, the bottom line is you get what you're going to get. You're right. He kind of devalued himself by asking for a trade. That said, he wasn't in the Los Angeles Kings system. The experiment to convert him to a winger was not going to happen. I know Jules, not Jules from the Crown, McSorley's stick freaked out over, losing Loktoinov, but he freaked out over Oscar Moeller too. But, hey, look, it's Andrei Loktoinov. We're really not going to miss him. Bottom line is, Jarrett Stoll, if he ever gets it together again, is a better third-line center, and Mike Richards will always be a better second-line center than Loktoinov. So another Sia might be in the works.
All right, Kings fans, so Kings are struggling, not looking like the Stanley Cup champs. Repeat, looking iffy right now. It's hard to tell. But our question of the day is, in a dream scenario, who would you trade for and why? Leave your comment, as always, downstairs.
And that's right, Kings fans. We'll be right back at you in a little while from the studio. Don't forget to hit that like button down below, the subscribe button right up top here if you're watching us on YouTube. We appreciate it. Like us on the Facebook. Follow us on the Twitter. You know you got to. I want to. Do you? I'm Keith Korneluk.
And I'm Chris Kelsey.
Thank you for watching Overtime by KingsCast. Bye.